Colts punter Pat McAfee joined Michael Cole at the commentary table Friday night for the SmackDown after WrestleMania 37, where Roman Reigns dominated the competition and defeated both Edge and Daniel Bryan to retain the Universal Championship. How did the former number one contenders look to rebound, and what did the head of the table have to say in the wake of his emphatic victory? Find out now with this latest edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk, which also featured a big tag team title defense by Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode, as well as the latest in the rivalry between the Mysterios and Alpha Academy. Hello, friends, and welcome to another edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk. Don't adjust your audio. Yes, this is Anthony Florio once again sitting in for good old MF Michael Fletcher. Unfortunately, MF is not feeling well this evening and will not be joining us, but he has assured that he should be back with us Monday night for Ridiculously Raw. But nonetheless, I am joined by the Phenom Michael Bullock. We also have the First Lady of the Wrestling Forum, the Twisted Angel Dee Woodson, as well. So let's not waste any more time. Let's dive right on into this latest edition of Friday Night SmackDown from the new Thunderdome at the Youngling Center, formerly the USF Sundome in Tampa, Florida. And as I mentioned in the intro, as you know, this week, the WWE commentary teams with a big-time shakeup on both ends. We saw it on Monday Night Raw with new play-by-play man Adnan Burke, formerly of ESPN and the MLB Network. Corey Graves now back on Raw, reunited with Byron Saxton. You know that's going to be a lot of fun considering the awesome chemistry those two have. And it left us wondering, what does that mean for SmackDown now that Graves is there? Is Graves going to do double duty? No, not the case. Michael Cole is still there, but he's got himself a brand new broadcast partner replacing Corey Graves, and that is Pat McAfee. You remember Pat McAfee for the brand NXT, and from his podcast, and that news broke early this morning, and it was reported by MF. He sent that to us in our messenger chat, and I know if I know MF like I know MF, he was like a kid in a candy store because he is a humongous Pat McAfee fan, and I know if he were here, he would definitely be waxing poetic about that. So, but nonetheless, Pat McAfee now on the commentary team with Michael Cole. That's going to be our SmackDown team going forward. So we started it off, well, just about like we always do each and every Friday night. The Universal Champion, the Tribal Chief, the head of the table, Roman Reigns, flaked by his special counsel, Paul Heyman, and his right-hand man, main event, Jey Uso. You know, cuts a promo like he always does. But then was interrupted by Cesaro. Cesaro comes out, and it looked like he wanted to say something, but then Roman and company left, and then Cesaro went backstage and found Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville, and he says, I want a match with Roman Reigns. He doesn't have to put the title on the line. I want a match with Roman Reigns. Well, a good news, bad news. The good news is Cesaro got a match, but it was not with Roman Reigns. It was Jey Uso, and we'll get into that later. But this right here was definitely the segment of the night. Roman Reigns as the uber arrogant heel who touts his own dominance despite interference from Uso is simply outstanding. He was so confident in himself following his win over Edge and Daniel Bryan that he suggested no one in their right mind wanted to face him. When Cesaro stepped up, he turned tail and refused to acknowledge the existence of his potential opponent. Ironically, considering Reigns' constant insistence that he has acknowledged himself. Cesaro is exactly the right challenger at exactly the right time. While there is a minuscule likelihood he dethrones Reigns, a feud with the big dog is exactly the sort of program that will continue to establish the Swiss Superman as a genuine main event performer and credible title contender. Segment of the night here, no question about it. So Michael Bullock, it looks like the Tribal Chief's got another guest coming to the table here. Cesaro? I think he's in line. I think this is the push that we've been waiting for him to get for the longest time.
And yeah, I mean, like you said, I think this is the push that's been way overdue for Cesaro. I mean, we keep wondering, when is this man going to get at least an opportunity at a world title? I think this is going to be the time. But yeah, this was definitely the segment of the night. I mean, yeah, I mean, Roman was obviously bragging like he always does, but yeah, Cesaro comes out and says, "Look, I want an opportunity." So yeah, I guess if he wants Roman Reigns first, he's got to go through Jey Uso later on tonight. How do they do? We're gonna have to wait and find out. And Roman Reigns and Cesaro for the Universal title, I'm definitely down with that. And you know, if that does happen, part of me wants to see Cesaro finally go over, finally get his moment, but I just got this bad feeling that the Tribal Chief is going to go over again. But we'll wait and see. So, segment of the night, Dee Dee Woodson, it is yours.
Yeah, it was segment of the night, but in my opinion, Roman Reigns is a hypocrite. Wants to have everybody acknowledge him, worship him, and everything, yet you have somebody like Cesaro come out that wants just a few minutes of his time, and he just kind of ignores him. He just kind of snobs him off. Sorry, not into that. Segment was definitely, you know, this, like I said, segment of the night, but Roman needs an attitude adjustment, so not much more I'm going to add. It's yours, Florio.
All right, and we get into our first match of the night, which was Rey Mysterio one-on-one with Otis, and Rey Mysterio wins the match in 3 minutes. Obviously, we're gonna consider this a cutout here. This was a 1-star match. There wasn't much to this one, nor did it particularly advance the ongoing rivalry between the two teams. It was instead a match that existed solely to remind fans the duos continue to feud. There is an argument to be made that Otis should not be losing, especially as WWE tries to build him into a dominant big man heel. But the company has never hesitated to book finishes like this one, regardless of the repercussions on the talent. So there's that, and then from there we had a WrestleMania rematch, a return match. Sami Zayn against Kevin Owens. Even though Sami Zayn, you know, cut another one of his promos, he wanted another shot at Kevin Owens, and they got the match. Unfortunately, actually no. Kevin Owens actually does win the match, but he did so via a countout in 10 minutes and 10 seconds. Michael Bullock, vintage lame duck man here, as he tucked his tail between his legs. Can he beat Kevin Owens one-on-one, JR? Hell no, he can't.
Yeah, you like you said. I mean, what was the time of the fall?
10 minutes and 10 seconds.
And it was via countout, right?
Yes, Owens won via countout.
Yeah, unfortunately, I mean, it was a good match, but because it's a countout victory, I can only give this 2.5 stars. Yes, yeah, what a tough guy you are, Sami Zayn. I mean, yeah, you decide to say, you know what, I'm just gonna tuck my tail and run. Yeah, you ain't no tough guy. As a matter of fact, you haven't been a tough guy since The Undertaker chokeslammed your ass through the in the ring back when SmackDown was at Madison Square Garden. So, yeah, that's what I say. That's why you've been on this this crazy lame duck man mode that you've been on since that night. So, yeah, 2.5 stars. I really got nothing more to say. So, Dee Dee Woodson, it's yours.
Yeah, 2.5 stars for the chicken that won't even stay in the ring to amount to anything. Yeah, I think he's scared of Owens. So yeah, not much more I'm gonna add. Like I said, 2.5 stars. It's yours for you.
All right. Even a relatively mundane Owens Zayn match is still pretty damn good. A testament to the performers and their chemistry with each other. This was hurt by the commercial breaks and the fact that the match was broken into pieces with no real chance to establish flow or any story to speak of. Still, it was an entertaining romp that didn't really add to the feud, but damn sure and sure it will continue. Look for the latest chapter as soon as the WrestleMania Backlash pay-per-view on May 16, as neither really has anything else better to do between now and then. I agree, 2.5 stars for the rating, no doubt about that. So then from there we had the victory lap. The victory lap of the brand new SmackDown Women's Champion, Bianca Belair, and it was almost a, so to speak, 2-for-1 deal, because it led into, well, actually no, because all this really was Bianca Belair cutting a victory promo just before her husband Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins had their return match for the SmackDown Tag Team Championship. So, Dee Woodson, only fitting we started with you, our women's wrestling. How did you like the victory lap from our new champion?
Hey, I thought it was good. She definitely deserves all the praise she can get. I mean, she did an awesome job at the pay-per-view, winning over Sasha Banks. So yeah, she deserves what um, she deserves to have a nice victory party and everything. And it was great that her husband and his tag partner could be out there for it. You know, enjoyed the segment. I could probably give it maybe second best for the night. So it's yours for you.
Yeah, this was never meant to be anything more than a celebratory promo from Belair, and in that regard, it worked. She was overjoyed, charismatic, and made sure those potentially tuning in for the first time knew exactly what she is all about. Sasha Banks being infuriated makes sense, as does Bayley's attempt to jump right back into the title picture without earning her way there. Both brief glimpses of the future of the division were true to those particular characters and set Belair up with 2 ready-made programs. There are far worse ways to spotlight your new champion than by having her battle 2 of the most decorated and celebrated women of all time in Sasha Banks and Bayley. So I'm right there with you. Second best segment of the night. And Michael Bullock, your thoughts on Bianca Belair's first words as the new SmackDown Women's Champion?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, she basically was like how grateful she was to be the champion, and basically thanking everyone. And there was truly if there was a much deserving champion, this was a most deserving champion right here. And yeah, now the question is, what's the next step for Bianca Belair now that she is the champion? And as Jerry the King Lawler once said, I think it was after Shawn Michaels won the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 12, she may not be ready for this journey that she's about to embark on, because they say I mean, it's easier to win the title than it is to keep it. So yeah, so we're gonna have to wait and see, but I think she'll have a good run as far as I'm concerned. So there's really nothing more to say. Second best segment of the night. Let's move on, Florio.
And we move on to the return match for the SmackDown Tag Team Championship. The champions, The Dirty Dogs, Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler, defending the titles against the challengers and former champions, the Street Profits, Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins. Winners of the match in 10 minutes and 40 seconds, and still the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, the Dirty Dogs, Dolph Ziggler, and Robert Roode. Wow. I'm a little surprised by this result. I mean, I'll get into that in a minute, but nonetheless, you could this is definitely one of the fights of the night. It's definitely in the top two. There's no doubt about that. I would probably give this about 3.25 to 3.5 stars for the effort. But then again, you can make an argument for fight of the night on this. It's definitely between this and the main event. But nonetheless, just when you thought it was a given that WWE would follow up Bianca Belair's title win with her husband, Montez Ford, and Angelo Dawkins regaining the SmackDown Tag Team titles, the company pulled the carpet out. The company pulls the carpet out from under us by booking a clean heel victory, and with good reason. Ziggler and Roode need the credibility. Yes, they are tag team champions, but they don't exactly have a long and illustrious run with the titles. They needed a definitive win, and after last week's fatal 4-way victory, this straight tag match win further solidifies their status as the top team in the division. With that said, theirs is definitely a reign that feels like it could end any given week, considering how popular the Street Profits are. Not to mention the potential of the Mysterios and the Alpha Academy. Their run with the SmackDown Tag Team titles may not be all that long-lived. But nonetheless, though, by a smidge, I would probably say this was the fight of the night, although you can make an argument about the main event as well. 3.25, 3.5 stars for the effort. Michael Bullock, I'll be honest with you, I thought they were going to win the titles. I really thought the Profits were going to get the belts back, especially after Bianca Belair, after what happened with her. But no, they pulled the rug out from under us, and Ziggler and Roode win, and they actually won cleanly. Go figure.
Yeah, I mean, this was definitely a surprise. I mean, we thought number one, I thought that the Street Profits were going to regain the titles. I mean, especially after Bianca Belair won it, but yeah, they not only threw the rug underneath us, but the champs won cleanly. I mean, I thought for sure they were going to find some sneaky way to hold on to the belts, but no, they won cleanly. So, and because of that, I mean, I'm in agreement with you. It's a 3.25, 3.5 star match. So there's really nothing more for me to say. So, Dee Woodson, it is yours.
Yeah, I can pretty much agree with all that. So it's yours, Florio.
All right. Then from there, we had another cutout here. Shayna Baszler with Nia Jax squaring off against Natalya with Tamina. Natalya wins the match via the dreaded roll-up of doom in 2 minutes and 25 seconds. This was a dud. This was the worst fight of the night. This was certainly a thing that happened. The match did nothing to benefit Natalya in that it was such a fluke roll-up that no one will buy it seriously. Tamina rocking Nia Jax wasn't even a particularly cool development because we saw the two exchange blows at WrestleMania. This was a retrieve that accomplished little and failed to build genuine excitement for the team's next match. Yeah, this was an absolute dud. This was I hate to say it, but it was a ho-hum diva fight, if I'm going to be honest with you. So worst fight of the night by a mile. No doubt about that, although the other match was... No, this was the worst fight of the night, no doubt. And then from there, then we had the main event of the evening, Cesaro squaring off against Jey Uso, battle of former Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal winners. And then and Cesaro wins the match via disqualification in 10 minutes and 20 seconds. Seth Rollins comes in and attacks Cesaro as Cesaro was doing the Cesaro swing on Jey Uso. Michael Bullock, you heard what Seth Rollins said. He says, it's not over until I say it's over. Yes, Cesaro won at WrestleMania, but Seth Rollins wants another shot at the Swiss Superman. I think we have ourselves another WrestleMania Backlash match here, because let's not forget, WrestleMania Backlash, expect a lot of WrestleMania rematches. So
yeah, even though in our honest opinion, Florio, we think it should be Cesaro going up against Roman Reigns, as far as we're concerned.
for the Universal Championship, agreed.
Yeah, but Seth Rollins, obviously he disagrees with everybody and says, "Hey, I'm not done with Cesaro, not by a long shot. I'm not done with him until I say it's over." So, unfortunately, Cesaro's Universal title shot opportunity is going to have to wait, and because it looks like Seth Rollins has got unfinished business with Cesaro. So, unfortunately, because of the DQ finish, I can only give this about another 2.5 stars as far as I'm concerned. So, yeah, there's really nothing more for me to say. So, Dee Woodson, it is yours.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the DQ finish, but storyline wise, I can see why it happened. I could go 2.5 to 3. It was a great match. It was going really good until Rollins decided to jump in. So not much more I'm going to add. It's yours, Florio.
Yeah. This was the second best fight of the night. I'm going to give this about 3 to 3.25 stars. Cesaro and Uso were hitting their stride just as Seth Rollins interfered, robbing fans of a definitive conclusion of the bout. What Rollins' victory does is set up a potential 3-way feud over the Universal Championship, or at the very least, keeps the prospects of Cesaro challenging alive while he settles things with Rollins. The concern is that WWE will do what it does and book a finish in Cesaro's inevitable next match with Rollins, in which all of the goodwill built at WrestleMania is lost as the architect gets his win back. It will be imperative for WWE to avoid that particular finish, or risk leaving fans wondering why it even bothered to put the Swiss Superman over on wrestling's biggest stage. The absence of Reigns at the end of the show would seem to suggest Cesaro may not be his next pay-per-view opponent, though the lack of Edge and Daniel Bryan on tonight's show would seem to suggest they're out of the picture too. So, it's definitely a lot to think about here. No ifs, ands, or buts on that. So for me, this would be about 3 to 3.25 stars for the effort. So not much more to say there. Dee Woodson, come on in. We'll have you lead off on our overall thoughts on this first SmackDown after WrestleMania.
It was a pretty good SmackDown. I mean, we only had a couple of really low points. But as usual, SmackDown is very storyline driven. And they're real good about building those storylines and keeping people engaged in the storylines that they build. So, and of course, you always have one or two matches that don't amount to anything, that aren't worth anything. But we had a little bit of both tonight. But all in all, I thought it was a pretty good show. I'm going to give it about 7 stars. So yeah, compared to Raw, I think SmackDown came out on top out of the two. So for the week, so not much more I'm going to add. I will see you guys Monday.
All right, good night, Dee. We'll see you then. And a shout out to our dear friend Matt Ward. He just posted this comment here. What if Rollins is going to be aligning with Reigns? Ooh, little mini Shield reunion perhaps there? I don't know.
I've heard rumors on it.
Ah, okay. That's definitely something we're going to have to keep an eye on. No doubt about that. Definitely keep an eye on the dirt sheets. No doubt about that. So that's a great question, Ward. Rollins Messiah character with the tribal chief. I don't know how that would work, but we'll have to wait and see on that. But But anyways, overall, a good show coming out of WrestleMania. I continue to wonder why SmackDown is so much better than Raw. Pat McAfee had a solid first night as the color commentator. I wonder if he worked with Corey Graves or studied his work because some of his verbal cadences are similar to Graves. But nonetheless, this I would probably say maybe 6.5 to 7 out of 10, somewhere in that neighborhood. You have to assume they're still working towards Cesaro challenging Reigns, but I'm less confident that Cesaro is next in line now that Rollins got involved. The WrestleMania Backlash pay-per-view is a month away, so there is still time for Cesaro to plow through Rollins and Uso to get to Reigns. That said, I would not mind a slow build if they have something else in mind for Reigns, just as long as they get to Reigns and Cesaro eventually. I mean, one scenario I could see is maybe perhaps Cesaro maybe wins the Money in the Bank ladder match at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, which has now been confirmed for the pay-per-view following WrestleMania Backlash, and that'll take place on Father's Day night on June 20th in a couple months. So maybe that could happen. I don't know. We'll see. But at the end, compared to the dumpster fire that was Raw Monday night, the very disappointing Raw. Usually that Raw after WrestleMania was always something special, but the last couple of years, obviously with COVID running wild, unfortunately, when we don't get that, we haven't gotten that fun ass Raw, with all those rowdy fans and those big call ups and surprises and whatnot. Although there were some, but not as exciting as years past. But still, this show is definitely better. And tag team titles was the fight of the night by a smidge. Cesaro and Jey Uso, second best fight of the night. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn rounds out the top three. A couple of good promo segments. 2 bad matches. You know what? Forget the 6.5. I'm going to bump it up and give it a solid 7 out of 10. I think 7 out of 10 is the correct rating for this show here tonight. So definitely far better than that disaster that was Raw Monday night. So, but hopefully Raw will bounce back, considering that we will see Charlotte Flair square off against Asuka. And then the latest in the Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre saga, now that Mason T-Bar have aligned with the Hurt Business. So, we'll have to wait and see on that. But for right now, 7 out of 10 for me. Michael Bullock, take it home.
Yeah, 7 out of 10 for me as well. I mean, like you said, only 2 bad matches. Everything else was good. I mean, the promo segments I thought were good as well. So, yeah, this was definitely better than that dumpster fire Monday Night Raw that we had Monday night. So, yeah, there's really nothing more to say. Wrap it up, Florio.
All right, and that will put the bow on this latest edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in this evening. We will be back with you on Monday night for another installment of Ridiculously Raw, as we will review Monday Night Raw. Like I said, the headline match, even though we've seen it before many of times, Charlotte Flair and Asuka will battle it out one-on-one. And then the latest, obviously, in the WWE Championship saga with Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre, especially now with the 2 newest members of the Hurt Business, T-Bar and Mace. So, we'll have to wait and see on that. And then another special Tony's take. We're going to preview the Impact Wrestling Rebellion pay-per-view that will be going down on Sunday night, April the 25th. Of course, we know what the big headline match is: Kenny Omega versus Rich Swann, winner take all for the AEW and Impact World Heavyweight Championships. So we'll definitely be keeping an eye on that. That'll be coming down on Monday night, and I'll have a preview of that. But now that the thought has crossed my mind, since I'm running things here tonight, and since I want to keep things going rather smoothly, and we have plenty of time. So what I'm gonna do, um, as a special bonus for all of you wonderful fans out there, and considering that I'm running things here this evening, um, I'm going to give you a quick Tony's take on last night's installment of Impact Wrestling. As you know, Impact Wrestling now airs on Thursday nights on Access TV. For those of you who may have it, for others who don't, well, you can watch it via Twitch, and that's that. So, you know, the previous week's show was not all that good, even with that star-studded six-man main event. It just, that show was just alright for me. But last night was definitely, I consider, a bounce back effort. I mean, I think that was a solid 7 out of 10 on that one. And just bear with me for a minute here because all right, just want to get everything up and running here. Slow moving system, as you all know, and just gotta wait for my notes to come up here. So but yeah, and of course the big announcement, if for anybody who might not have heard. Well, actually, hold on. I think I got my notes just about ready to come up here. So, all right, here we are. Last night's installment of Impact Wrestling. I'm gonna do a quick Tony's take on that, and then we will call it a night. We started it off with a match with TJP against Josh Alexander, and Josh Alexander wins the match. This was the fight of the night. 4 stars. Incredible stuff by the guys that have been stealing the show for months. This was an absolute banger with constant physical action. They meet with it, and the two of them will meet with Ace Austin at Rebellion, which is such a fantastic combination of X Division guys. That's going to be fun. Crazy Steve against Carl Anderson. Carl Anderson wins the match. That was absolutely nothing. That was like a dud. And Jazz was cutting a retirement promo, but was interrupted by the Knockouts Tag Team Champions Fire and Flava. It led into an impromptu match, Fire and Flava against Jazz and Jordan Grace, and Jazz and Jordan win the match. Short match. It was a nothing match, but we got a touching, heartfelt retirement speech that made for some great television. Wasn't sure where this was going or if I was on board, but I must say it culminated in one of the more emotional segments in recent Impact history. Excuse me. A Fire and Flava. It was announced that they will defend the Knockouts Tag Team titles against Jordan Grace and a mystery partner at Rebellion. Brian Myers against Jake Something in a Pick Your Poison match. Brian Myers wins that match. And then we had another Pick Your Poison match. Matt Cardona against Sami Callihan. Sami Callihan wins 2 3/4 of a star. Solid match with Sami excelling in the TV match format and Cardona showing off some nice brawling. The Myers match was nothing but no complaints. The real takeaway was the post-match angle where Callahan delivered one of his best promos in a minute, and his feud with Trey Miguel finally escalated. And then from there, we had the press conference with Rich Swann and Kenny Omega ahead of their mega match at Rebellion. And as expected, no surprise here. You had a feeling that there was going to be some sort of chicanery, and there was. So 7 out of 10. Good episode of Impact coming off a disappointing Impact Plus Hardcore Justice special. The opener was a fantastic TV bout, and we got some strong promos from Kenny Omega, Sami Callihan, and Jazz. The show did drag a little bit with the Pick Your Poison and Carl Anderson versus Crazy Steve matches, but luckily that wasn't too offensive. An enjoyable and an eventful episode, building well towards the historic Rebellion event coming up. Next week, the Good Brothers will go up against Decay, Crazy Steve, and Black Taurus, and Tennille Dashwood will go one-on-one with Susan. So there you have it. So now that will put the bow on this edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk. We once again thank you all so very much for tuning in. We will be back with you, like I said, Monday night for Raw. We'll review Monday Night Raw, and then I will preview the Impact Wrestling Rebellion pay-per-view, and then we'll go from there. And then Wednesday, the all-new Wednesday Night Mayhem, as we will As you know, from now on, we will be reviewing NXT first and then AEW Dynamite second. So we'll get into all that on Wednesday. Thursday, strictly sports. We don't have much of a docket yet, but as soon as we have something, we'll let you all know. And then Friday night, and then next Friday night, of course, the Cerebral Smack Talk. So that'll do it for that. So until Monday night for Ridiculously Raw, this is Anthony Florio sitting in tonight for good old MF Michael Fletcher. For the Phenom Michael Bullock, and in spirit, of course, the aforementioned good old MF Michael Fletcher. We hope you feel better, MF. These shows are not the same without you, and we're hopeful that we'll have you back Monday night for Ridiculously Raw. And of course, also in spirit, of course, the First Lady of the Wrestling Forum, the Twisted Angel, Dee Woodson. And of course, always and forever, the man who started all this stuff years ago, the Hardcore Pipe Bomb, FKG 401, Derek Ferrera. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it a Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed weekend. And until Monday night for Ridiculously Raw, you've been watching the Cerebral Smack Talk right here on YouTube and StreamYard.com. And remember, my friends, no matter what anyone tells you, wrestling is beyond anything else. Wrestling is indeed actually real. For everybody who's been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long, and bye, everybody, bye.